I think we all share a sense that the global economy as it's currently configured isn't really working for the vast majority of people. We have a global economy designed to meet the needs of the 1% and not really anybody else. And it generates all kind of externalities that we're just supposed to accept as just being how it is, but actually are just not okay. You know, in England now we talk about there being an epidemic of loneliness. I mean, what kind of economy creates an epidemic of loneliness just as a sort of an inevitable side effect? So I think what's shared here is a sense that we can do things differently, that we can do things better. I think we share a sense that this isn't just an idea, this is happening, this is underway, this is rolling out all over the place, this is growing so very, very, very quickly. So I think we share a sense of excitement about the possibilities that we can create here moving forward. And yeah, I think we share something, I think, which reaches across kind of party political interests. You know, it always strikes me that actually party politics is all just about polarizing people and dividing people down, and people can't talk to each other, and you know that breaks down. Whereas all of this stuff just cuts across all of that. It doesn't matter if you're a socialist or conservative or whatever you are. This is the sharing economy. This is the new economy that's happening. It meets our needs. It's more nourishing and delicious and fantastic than what's currently on offer. So why don't we go with that? Yeah, I think we'll go with that.
I think we all share a hope for how we're going to, I don't want to just say like make the world better, but I actually think we share some insights and intuitions about what the next strategies are going to be. They don't necessarily converge, they don't necessarily agree, but I think there's a shared intuition here.
There are two main things that all of these movements share. First is a recognition that the old way is broken, and that there new approaches are required, and also a sense of urgency, both in an environmental sense and in terms of the economy. The second thing is, I think that there is optimism, and they see that there's new social conditions, new tools, new models of how to create value that can be a kind of replacement for the system that's broken and doesn't serve anymore. And it's a creative energy. It isn't so much about saying no to something, it's rather saying yes to an alternative and building that alternative. And I think that's very, very inspiring and motivating for people.
Well, I like to think that we share the open mind. That I think we all see that the world, the models that we maybe grew up with or that have been powering the world until now, especially in the last 30 to 50 years, are broken. And as an entrepreneur, I've trained myself to be a very good observer of broken systems, failed systems, because as an entrepreneur, when a system is in failure, that presents a great opportunity for something new. And I've been observing that this system is in failure now for more than a decade. We share the mind of that something has to change, that the world is faced with a lot of really challenging and interesting opportunities and problems. We're exploring ideas together, we're bringing our hopes and dreams for the future, but also our fears and concerns and observations about what's not working, and working to create a new kind of social operating system, a new way of working as a global community.
Well, the P2P Foundation, is a bit like a collective intellectual. Well, I think there's three things happening, and they're kind of an answer to the systemic crisis that people are experiencing today, which is more and more social inequality and an ecological crisis. And those three things are the mutualization of knowledge. So that's the open source movement, which I just mentioned, free software, open culture. Mutualization of infrastructures. This is what we do here. So the WeShare is more about car sharing, bike sharing, sharing physical things. And the third thing is relocalization of production. So there's a lot of work around reorganizing food chains, cooperative energy projects. So it's kind of like people are looking at an alternative, and since they don't have the power to change the system, they just look for concrete solutions, close to their own situation. And more people are doing this, and more people are finding each other. So it's kind of like today the acceleration is that it's going from fragmented to kind of ecosystemic. So the people doing food co-ops are now talking to people doing time banking. And the time banking people are talking to the credit unions, and the credit unions are talking to the maker spaces. So this is kind of going on a global basis, not everywhere as fast, but pretty much everywhere.
I think we all share a will to experiment and to innovate. And I think that probably that's one of the most important things that we can do. We can challenge what we're seeing in each of our industries or contexts or ecosystems or wherever we're working in, and challenge what we're seeing, like really trying to say, to innovate in the sense that what we have, it's not a given. It's what it is, but we can make it better, or we can change it. I think that common spirit of knowing that what's out there, it's not the be-all, end-all of what is possible, I think that's fascinating.
We have these new tools, this connectivity among us. So what we share is this need or this feeling of, okay, let's get together and do what we think is best for society. And for me, it's good that there's this diversity. Not everybody has to agree on the best approach. So for me, it's good. But I think what we share is that we have this easy way to gather together now, thanks to internet, and organize communities like WeShare and other communities to move forward and to take action in the direct direction that we think is best.
One definitely seems to be an interest in what's possible in this digital age and how can these tools help us. But in particular, that's regarding how we work together and can address some of the key challenges facing us right now in more collaborative ways. I suppose additionally, it seems that there's quite an excitement and a curiosity about how to do things in new ways as well, and willingness to experiment and learn from one another and seek out new possibilities.
I think we all share a new common sense. I think that a new common sense is emerging. We're starting to realize that the way we are living and handling our world is not sustainable for all of us. And at the same time, we are starting to have evidence that things could be done in a different way. We're learning how to create abundance, absolute abundance in intangibles such as knowledge or design, relative abundance in things like cars or apartments or whatever. And we're starting to realize, and I think the crisis has been good for that we are interdependent.